Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to look at something a little bit different with PowerShell. We're going to do a very brief episode here on one of my favorite little features of PowerShell that I end up using all the time. Making PowerShell actually make sounds for you. Now, why might this be quite useful? Well, maybe you've got a very long running script, and I have scripts that take 10-15 minutes to actually run. But when those scripts actually run, you're going to want some sort of way of having some sort of notification that this is actually finished. Now we could do that in a number of different ways. We could, for example, have PowerShell email us. I'll do something based on that later on. It actually revolves around the command send-mail message, not send email, if you want to go and research it, but I will show you how to actually get PowerShell to talk to your Gmail later. But one of the easiest ways of actually getting this to run, if I've got the PowerShell ISC console running in the background and something is processing through, what I would normally do is minimize that, let everything carry on, but at the end of it I'm going to need to know that it's completed. So one of the easiest ways to do that is to make PowerShell tell me that it's completed with my speakers. So one of the things we can do with this on a very basic level is we can actually make our computer go beep. Now our computer has the ability here, or PowerShell has the ability here, to talk to something called the .NET Framework. Now, PowerShell itself is built on the .NET Framework, and you can imagine the .NET Framework as a big box of Lego. It's a library. It's a collection of things. It's a collection of things that Microsoft have written for us to actually use. In this case, we could use many things from the .NET Framework to bury our heads in and pull out these little blocks of Lego to be able to build our applications and build our scripts. But I'm going to concentrate on one specific thing here. I'm going to concentrate on system.console. Now, if you can imagine the whole .NET Framework actually built up as one gigantic tree structure, if I throw up a new incognito window here, and we go off and have a look for system.console here within Microsoft's documentation, we find the system console class. Now most of what Microsoft have got here within their documentation relates to examples written in C#, but it all kind of rolls around into PowerShell itself. Don't worry about understanding all of this sort of stuff with C# and how it actually functions, but just bear in mind that what we can actually do is, inside this thing called system.console, this is a Lego brick. There's many different things in here. Imagine like a tree structure. We've got system.console, and there we've got system.this, system.that, system.the-other, and inside system.console we have many different things we can do. One of those things we can actually do is something called beep. And if we could actually have a look at this, this is the nice little beep class, and this plays the sound of a beep through the console speaker. If we go and read through the documentation for system.beep, what we'll actually find is there's a couple of values that we can actually give to beep, to 32-bit integers or 32-bit numbers. One of these is relating to the frequency, and one of these is relating to the duration of that beep. So how to actually use it? Well, beep is actually going to be a static method here within system.console. What that means is I've pulled out system.console, and there's many different things I can do with it. I need to subselect beep. To do so, just stick a couple of colons in there, and we can now type beep to access that. Now I'm accessing this Lego brick called beep. I want to make my computer go beep. I've got to tell it how to beep. So in this case, by reading the documentation and seeing I've got two 32-bit numbers I need to give it, I need to do a bracket and do something like 300, 300. One of those is going to be frequency, one of those is going to be length. Now if I turn my speakers up a little bit, you should be able to hear this come through my microphone. Not that, this. Computer go beep. But if I go and adjust this first little 300 to 700, for example, that's the frequency. So we can see here from the documentation this range from 37 to 32,767 Hz. So let's go and make that a little bit bigger. Let's go 2000. Really big beep. So maybe we want to do something else on here. Maybe we want to make it beep for longer. Okay, very good. Maybe we want to actually have some sort of rising tone going on here. So what about if we do a nice little array called numbers here, and we do something like 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and now for people who have done advanced things with numbers before, you'll know that there is actually an easier way to do this, but it's a little beyond the remit of what we're doing now. So we've got this numbers array with 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and what we want to do is we want to cycle through each of those. So we'll do a very simple for each loop, for each number in numbers. We'll cover the for each loops in detail in another video. And we'll just throw in number into there, and so we should have, if we adjust that to work a little bit faster, nice little rising tone. So what I normally do is I stick one of these at the end of my scripts. So I might again even want to go through and make that loop multiple times down there. So let's make that actually loop 3 times, for example, less than 2. That didn't loop. Oh no, because on 0. There we go. 0 and 3. Wonderful. So I could just jump that at the end of my script. So if I run something very, very long, like for example get dash AD user dash filter star, that's going to actually grab something like every single user on your Active Directory environment, and then pipe that to something like, oh, I don't know, set dash AD. No, we'll do that. Set dash AD user dash given name Sarah. So yeah, you actually go run that command. That's going to set every single user in your Active Directory environment's given name to Sarah. And if you're in the UK, do you know what you actually get when you set everybody's given name to Sarah? You get the error code of P45. So for our American friends, that's what you normally get if you leave a company, the form for leaving a company. Anyway, stick that at the end. Since that command might take a while to do, you can go and leave that running in the background. As long as your speakers are on, you'll get a nice little rising tone 3 times, and it will notify you that something's actually done. Great, so that concludes this episode for how to use something called Beep, or system.console.py.